Okay, so we are live with another Catalyst Talks. I'm Joseph Kopser, and today I'm joined by Andra Liemandt, who is many things, but among them is CEO and co-founder of the Kindness Campaign. You can look down in her biography at all the other amazing things that she's done, but I want to jump right into it and just ask Andra, how are you doing? How is the family, and how are you adjusting?
Well, we're doing great. We, as many people, have had to do a lot of pivoting during this time, but we're doing great. I think that for most families, we've had to really adjust through school. And during this time right now, we are really enjoying just feeling a little bit of breath of fresh air. We're really just getting out there and really trying to find new things to do out in the open.
Absolutely. Well, part of the whole point of the Catalyst Talk series is to highlight innovators doing things that are unique. And this was even before COVID that was important, but now especially because of COVID. So tell us about the Kindness Campaign and what it was doing and how you've now innovated during this era of distance learning.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that I'm so glad we're having this conversation, and it has been such a big part of what the Kindness Campaign has been very passionate about. And we're excited that we've been able to have this opportunity to be able to innovate during this time. And what we've been able to do is really take some of the tools that we were already doing in schools. So for those people who haven't been familiar with the Kindness Campaign, we are social emotional we provide social emotional health tools to both children and adults starting at age 3. And for the last 4 years, we have been in schools on the ground, providing these tools to over 40,000 students in over 82 schools. And most recently took all of those tools and brought them online. And so what we've been able to do, as you can see right there online, is we've been able to take those tools and be able to, during this pivot, try to bring them in a way that was adaptable for families. Because, as you know, Joseph, a lot of the parents were out there doing the work.
Yeah, absolutely. As a proud father of a daughter, 3 daughters, but one in particular is an educator now, graduated from the University of Texas. She's seeing not only the industry flip, but she's seeing how parents are adjusting. So talk to me a little about that innovation. What are you doing uniquely to help parents and educators and students with this offering that you have?
So what we thought was very unique about our curriculum, it's always been student focused. And it's also been very focused on the health, social emotional health, but also for teachers, it's been based in reading and language arts. We've aligned it. Our Kim, who helps do all the alignments to both TEKS and ASCA, she's made sure that it's easy for our teachers. Well, what we wanted to do during this pivot was make it easy for our parents. So what we did was not only have it student focused, but have it parent focused. So we took all of our tools and we said, how are parents going to be teaching this right now? So if you go online to the grade level specific tools, we said, okay, if I'm a parent and I'm teaching this, how does it look and feel in a home? And we just literally took every single thing that we had, pulled it apart and said, if I'm a parent, I'm sitting here saying, how do I explain this to a child during this time? And be able to engage in a real way. And so we feel that, and the feedback we're getting is that was working during that time. And so that's really what we did and how we pivoted.
And so when you say we, give a little sense, because this is not just about innovation in education and what you've done, but this is innovation in organizations and process and flow. I understand your team was already a distance team, if you will, not consolidated one space, but how were you managing this process? How difficult did you find it to be? And were there lessons learned that you think you can share with the viewers and readers?
Absolutely. So we were a distance team. And we found that to be very, very successful. But we at least met in person once a week because we found that was a great way to just connect in general. And then we had on-site at schools where we had big programs that we were hosting. So to take all of that and really be remote, it really took us developing higher level communication skills and really defining our lanes. And so we really had to lean into that and develop higher communication skills and start practicing that and really defining more and more lanes. I always, I joke because I'm like, who has the ball now? And where's the ball going? And let's talk about where the project is. And so I think for our team, we really got lean and mean in those areas. And it's been a learning experience, but I think we're stronger, leaner, and meaner now than we ever have been.
Well, that's a theme that has come through a lot of these Catalyst talks. I've done over 60 of them. And what is interesting is people key on that point you just made, which is we're getting better. So my challenge to all innovators, all business leaders, nonprofit, for-profit, government, and such is the things that we're doing better now, let's actually keep those and not forget them when we go forward. But back to you and your efforts with the Kindness Campaign. Now, there was a real element in the early inspiration of this, and that's what I want to get into now. What inspired you to become the entrepreneur? What inspired you to take on this effort? Everybody's got a story. Everybody's got a backstory of it. What was yours? I know it's very compelling, having known you personally now for a few years. What got you into this originally?
So I had a dear friend of mine, her daughter, it was around the age of 12, around the age of my daughters now, 12 and 14. And at the time, my daughters were very young, but her daughter was having some bullying at her school. And it really was heartbreaking because she just didn't have anywhere to turn. She didn't have the Kindness Campaign. She didn't have a group of kids that were there in that way that she needed. And she took her own life. And that was something that to this day is something that is heartbreaking for me. It was a hard time for me. And I think for my family, for her family to this day. And I think for me during that time in that space, because my children were young, I was looking for answers. I think as anyone does who loses a child and who is close to someone who does, you look for answers. Why? Why would a child do this? And as I've grown through this process in developing the Kindness Campaign and learning, I've done tons of learning, never having been in this space. I've come to find that there's a lot of, understanding that suicide is the second leading cause of death for teens. And that statistic is on the rise. And loneliness is on the rise, especially today more than ever with coronavirus and with all that we have going on. And that human connection piece is something that we're striving for. And so that just continued my journey of really wanting to dive into what tools can I develop and how can I help? And this was never, as most entrepreneurs, I think, would never my mission to go out and create something that was going to be, in every school. I wanted something that was in my home. And now I found it to be very, very much a part of my life, my passion, in my home, everywhere I can make it, because I think saving one life is worth every day that I wake up creating more and more tools.
Well, of course, everyone can only imagine the tragedy for that family, but what's inspirational is the way that you have used that and channeled that energy. And let's go back to the product itself, because as you say, it is doing real good. And for those that maybe didn't have access to it in the past, they do now. Thanks to Marianne Hotaling, some others that are watching live, we're starting to tag a whole lot of people that are going to be either watching this live now or hopefully the video later on. So let's return back to some of those curriculum. Can you explain how you're building that bridge, this original purpose of reducing bullying and giving that opportunity for self-confidence for young kids, with enabling parents to be able to be a better part of the overall experience? Because as we know, all too often our educators across the country of all institutions have to put on a lot of that burden that sometimes begins, well, not sometimes, almost always begins in the home. So talk a little bit more about that. I'd love to know more, and I'll highlight the products again.
Yes, so sure. So we believe very, very wholeheartedly that we want to meet the students where they are and where they're learning. And the way to do that is to develop tools that they want to use. And so a lot of the tools that we're doing right now, some of them are, we do a Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning meetup and story time where we're getting educators, we're getting pediatricians, we're having community leaders and just advocates in our area to come on. It's about a 15 to 20 minute story time where kids can check in, whether it's on Instagram with their mom or whatever that feels comfortable for the family. But we're trying to meet kids where they are.
I think that is so important. Can you just expand on what that check-in is like? And for maybe parents who haven't done that before, what's it like? Are there experiences that you've heard of from parents that are finding it especially helpful, or educators?
Yes. So what we're doing is we're doing mindfulness activities. We're doing things where we can be creative, where we're making a Nuffy Buddy feelers. For anyone who doesn't know who a Nuffy Buddy is, he's our main character. So I'll just hold him here. He's with me a lot. It seems weird that I'm always with a stuffed animal, but he's the main character that my daughters and I created to help kids go on a journey through the curriculum, as well as just to identify their own emotions. And so we'll make things like these Nuffy Buddy antennas that help kids identify what they're feeling. So we'll make crafts. We'll do things that really help provide a brain break, help them really tap into how to do a breathing exercises if they're getting frustrated, if they've been on a lot of Zooms with their teachers. We know that as we go into the fall, we may be in that same scenario. So we want to continue these kinds of brain breaks for the parent, for the child. And that is what the feedback we're getting is we need a place to go where we feel comfortable, where we have something that's silly or just, a brain break.
Yeah, I love that so much. In fact, before I get to my next question, Barbara Kelso, who is joining in live on Facebook, asks, how can we join and support your efforts? So if we don't drop the link in now, or maybe Maggie from your team who might be tuning in, she can drop. In fact, and yeah, there's Maggie herself right now dropping in some stuff. So let me go back to this idea of mindfulness. If ever there was a time that people felt overwhelmed, that there was no escape from work or school, it is certainly now. Even Amy and I growing, with our kids growing up over the years, we didn't understand the concepts of mindfulness. We didn't understand all that. We didn't really know what to call it, but we did have a rule in our family, which is if somebody were to declare, I'm having a moment, that was our way to just stand back, let him or her, me included, have our moment to just deal with all the rush of feelings. But the fact that you're using, and let me clarify the name, the Nuffy Buddy?
Nuffy Buddy.
Nuffy Buddy. You got to tell me the derivation of Nuffy Buddy. Where'd that name come from?
So our main foundation of everything we do is about being enough. Yeah. And Nuffy feels he's enough, and he wants everyone to feel, no matter what's happening in your day, if you're needing a moment, you're still enough, and just go through that. We also have 4 pillars that we walk through that are all in that fundamental foundation of being enough. They're self-image, emotional awareness, empathy, and community. And as we teach the curriculum, as we go through mindfulness movements, they're all connected to those 4 core pillars. And so we love that we're rooted in all of these, things that connect us, because as we look at our community, or we look at empathy, or we look at, emotional awareness for the people around us, or even our self-image, we know that all of those things, there's this one common thread, is that when we wake up every day, we just want to feel like we're enough for ourselves, for our friends around us, for our children, for the people we're working with. So that is a Nuffy Buddy.
Got it. Well, and I brought back the other screen that shows the grade level curriculum, especially for those teachers and educators that are now joining in, and parents, frankly. But I see the Nuffy Buddy now. That makes even more sense. So explaining that. So we're getting near the end here, and what I wanted to do is make sure that I captured anything that we might have missed. Folks have been asking some questions and making comments that Maggie is responding to in real time. But what have I not asked you that you wish for viewers, whether they be parents, educators, or students, to know about what you're offering, or even just beyond where we are in time right now?
So one very, very important thing that I really want parents to know is at the Kindness Campaign, we create and innovate all the time. And, if you ask me, I would love to just create anything that sounds fun for kids to do. But the main thing that we want to know is what's going to help you. And currently right now, we have been innovating. We created new videos out to help during this time to get kids moving, like an indoor recess. And during this time, what those have done is just gets kids moving, right? You're indoors, you feel trapped, and even moving, into next year, into the fall, these are great getting moving exercises that you can do. also they teach life skills. So, and they're of course based in our 4 pillars, and they're a great tool for both teachers, whether they're going back to school or indoors. But we've linked them to a survey, and the survey will help give us valuable data for what's happening in your home emotionally and how we can help provide better new tools to continue growing what our offerings are. And so for me, the most important thing we can ever do for our community, for one another, is continue a conversation about feedback, about data, about emotional health, about mental health, and just be able to provide not only for TKC, but also for our partners we work with. We work with so many community partners. We're working with Notley. We're working with, Born This Way. We're working with all these partners that aren't just in Austin, and we're continuing conversations that they don't just help Austin, they help nationwide. And so the more information we have about what's happening in your home, the better we can help everyone. And that's our goal.
Yeah, and I want to thank Maggie for dropping that link, that survey, down into the comment section there on the side. Well, you really nailed it. I think when you talk about the innovation and the use of data, whether it's interviews that I've done with people working in education, whether working with innovation in transportation, energy, all across the gamut, the one common theme is the need for data, to be able to understand the data, make sense of the data, and then to communicate it. So the last thing I'll say when we talk about communicating your data, I understand you have a podcast that might be coming forward soon or underway. That was what I understood on background from the green room conversation. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I do. I'm kind of in uncharted territories myself, but I'm very excited about this. I love getting to talk to people such as yourself. And so I am launching a podcast series, and it's really to talk about the before and after moments that people have, and they get to storytell. And I'm going to be interviewing entrepreneurs such as yourself and really talk about the resilience that they've been going through. And so there's more to come on that. It'll be on my Instagram on Andra Liemandt. And I'm really excited about many of the opportunities I have, but really about sharing kindness and really getting to spread awareness for what other people are doing, my kind partnerships out there, and really getting to raise awareness for the kindness campaign and all that they're doing.
Well, what a perfect note to end on. I'll work with Maggie to make sure we can raise the awareness of what you're doing. I want to thank everybody that was live here making comments, as well as dropping links and sharing this with others. It's very powerful. And most of all, Andrew, thank you for what you're doing. And thanks for taking the time to be a part of Catalyst Talks today.
Thank you. And thank you for helping us.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thank you.